Here's a new PCB. SD card slot on the back. Here are the signal switching relays for the new cable test, and you can see the RJ45 jacks here, the Nutricom type. New flat flex connector for connection to the screen. Done some screen bracket prototyping. Starting like this, massive screen print that took 2 hours to print. There's 2 of those. Changing sizes just to get the screen centering right, and finally ending up with these 3 bags of screen brackets. Here it is. Yeah, I know what you're thinking, it's pretty big, but that was to accommodate the extra bits and pieces. So here we've got 2 Ethercon jacks. This is the LAN port, so that connects to ArtNet, SACN, does pinging and all that sort of stuff. And this is just a loop back, so you can do a cable test between the 2. It also supports a little dongle, which I'm going to ship with the unit, which does like a remote cable test, like a traditional sort of Cat5 tester. So you get 8 LEDs at the other end, which go through. I'll show you that on the screen in a second. No end plate on this yet, that's still coming out of the machine, you'll see that in a minute. That's the encoder, it's a clicky one. And this is the Ethernet sockets and the USB for charging and connection to your computer. Much bigger screen. I'll just turn it on. So this is just signal going in, and there's channel 1 going up and down. I've just got a little other DMX tester plugged in there. Let me select everything and turn them all to full. There we are. You can change pages here to select the number you're looking at from the start address, and in the ArtNet and SACN you get a Universe 2 on this page. It moves in incremental by 1, so it doesn't change whole pages, so you can see things across a page, so you can see like 11 and 12, 13 and 14 all on the same page if you want to. Okay, let's look at some other features that are new. Here's cable test features. So going to the cable test page, you've got XLR, RJ45 local loop and RJ45 remote probe. Here's the XLR. So if you click the XLR there, and then it's just plug our XLR in, it's going to say good cable, and it's lighting up the green pins to show that they're connected okay. If you disconnect this a bit, mess about with it, you can kind of see some of the other errors that it'll give you. I can't short with this cable, but anyway. Okay, let's get a bit of RJ45 cable. So I'm just going to show you the RJ45 cable tester now, and we'll do a local loop first. So just press local loop there, and on the screen here you get a little picture of the A and B sort of wiring schemes. You can see the colours there. Might be a bit hard to see on camera. And then there's a test socket and a remote socket or a loop back, and it's going to show you which pins are connected to which and sort of wire in that fashion here. So these are Ethercon sockets, but you can use these as well. As I plug in there, it's going to come up with straight through cable, and it's got a little star in the box showing you how it's wired. There's a little green identifier for straight through and a little sort of aqua blue identifier for crossover. So if you've got a crossover cable connected, you can see where it should be changed or connected here. This does error checking, so it will say crossover or it will say pins missing or that sort of thing if it's shorted or incorrect. The other cable testing mode, if we go back to cable, is what I call remote probe. And just quickly, I've got a test cable. This is eventually going to be mounted in one of these RJ45 barrel things. But for the moment I'll just show you this test setup here. So we press remote probe, it tells us to plug into this socket, plug into there, and then there we go, we just get get that at both ends. So it should run through in sequence. Okay, let's look at a few other new modes. So in tools, so these DMX in tools, you can do DMX in to SACN or ArtNet. So if you tap that, it's now doing a loop. DMX in straight to SACN. You can choose the universe over here. You click that and just turn the encoder, and it'll spit out SACN at that address. If you press power up here, when you restart the unit or repower it, it'll always come back to this mode and that setting, so you could use it as a node. You can also do the other way around. So if you do DMX out to SACN, that means that any SACN at this universe setting, click there, choose that. So for example, at the moment that's set to 26, so universe 26 is now coming out at the DMX port. There's another setting here which is not quite finished yet, but the idea is that because there's a relay sitting between the XLRs here, you can receive DMX, normal DMX, and when the signal stops for any reason, the relay can auto break the path and then start outputting from a memory. It's gone to sleep. From a memory in a kind of backup situation. Yeah, you can choose a memory number here. It'll respond to power up, and then when you're ready to go back to the lighting desk for if it started sending DMX again, you can just press release, and it'll kick the relay back over to that stream. Some more work's been done on the OSC settings here. You can choose a listen port here. You can choose a send port, add to a particular IP. You can send a test string. You just type it in, and then every time you bash the string button or the int or the float button, it'll send that out to that particular thing. And when you're receiving OSC at the listen port here, it will display the messages that are coming in along there. So OSC. Playback, you can choose a memory. Hasn't got an SD card in it at the moment. So there's an SD card slot on the side. It'll choose a memory from that, which you've either recorded, or you can text edit it, or you've saved it from your something you've built on the state setup. And you can choose a memory number and play it back to DMX, SACN, or ArtNet. Another feature that was asked for was, after my last video, was this detect thing. So this is a sort of Wiresharky type thing. On the wire here, I'm calling it. This is just polling a number of ports and looking for MA net, and it will show you if the consoles are present, and looking for other consoles and other nodes. It will show you if a session is active, so there's actually data on the network. It also looks for Hog4 sessions, V676, and path port data, and it'll just give you a little green light in there if that's if there's something available on the wire. What else we got here? Time code's pretty much not changed. That's time code. There's also, so that's LTC. There's MTC as well. ArtNet also has the present. This same with SACN. So you get this present box which tells you which universes are available. There we go. SACN has the similar. You can still do bars on SACN and ArtNet, so you can see the input as a bar format, or you can see it as a sort of grid of numbers. Nothing coming at the moment. So a couple of things to talk about in DMX. This is the same in ArtNet and ACN, SACN. Choose state, and you get the standard level thing. There's a bit more visual information here. So if you go back to 1, that's the the sort of state we're in. If you press solo, it goes red, so you're only talking to that channel. You press all, you get 13512. If you press offset, you can choose an offset. So if we offset by 10, and then plus through, we're going to go up in tens. It's pretty simple but useful. And when you press blackout, you get a little flash here, so just sort of showing you that it's sent everything to black. From here, you can press save to this memory number, and that's going to save what you've done to the SD card, which you can then recall back or edit on the computer or whatever you want to do. Ping. There's ping. This is similar to the last thing, but the screen's obviously much bigger now, so you can display bigger results. You set your destination IP in here, and your local IP in there. In setup, there's a few more things. So you can set that default IP to be, something default. You can turn sleep on and off. Subnet gateway, DNS, all that sort of stuff. That helps you ping outside. So if you want to ping the internet, for example, you want to ping Google at 8888, you will need to set a gateway. Here you can update the screen firmware, the unit firmware. So if you press screen and update, that'll update from the SD card that's internal, or if you press unit, that talks a little bit of software on a computer that I'm going to shoot with a product which lets you update the firmware. If you press about, you're going to get the serial number, the RDM UID, and the MAC address there. Yeah, so now we've gone for, I think it's a 4.3 inch touchscreen. Yeah, 4.3, so you get a lot more information that can be displayed, and there's also a lot of possibility in there. I've upgraded to a much faster processor as well, so we're up to 120 screaming megahertz, so there'll be plenty of capability for other things.